Hey everybody, Nettie Owens here with Sapari Solutions. I've brought Kieffer Rittenhouse with me today to continue to answer the question of what every business needs to know right now. Thank you for being here, Kieffer.
Thank you.
So Kieffer is a commercial insurance broker for businesses that value service over price, and I can attest, Kieffer, you have fantastic service. He's been successful in simplifying the buying process and using quality insurance carriers to place coverage. So the questions that we have today are going to be along those lines. And I can imagine that you've probably had a lot of conversations around insurance with the quarantine and the protests and other events that have been, at the forefront these last several months.
For sure, we've worked with a lot of our customers to reduce their costs and reduce their exposures, and because not everybody had the same sales and payroll, and they're pretty big drivers of insurance costs. So we reduced those costs and reduce those exposures with the insurance companies, and help them reduce their overall exposure and financial outlay for cash. Everybody wants to conserve cash, so that's very critical in this time of year.
Yeah, actually, that's not even a perspective I was thinking about. But if you have fewer employees now because of shifts in your business, then it's going to change your insurance coverage. So it's probably a good idea to look at.
Several of our carriers too, Nettie, gave rebates and money back mid-policy because they knew the utilization of their vehicles and other things were down. So they were able to give them credits, before the end of the policy period year.
Oh, awesome. I know.
Cash flow and things like that.
Personally, I received a rebate from my auto insurance, which I definitely appreciated. So these are some of the ways that businesses can save money in today's insurance marketplace. What else should they be looking at as far as ways to save money?
The marketplace is pretty soft, so you definitely should rely on your agent to get out there and shop your insurance costs, especially if you're a business with between 5 and 15 to 25 employees in that range. You definitely have there's a lot of carriers that are out there looking for business. They're dying for business, so they're willing to go the extra mile to reduce your costs and give you a better product.
That's fascinating, actually.
Yeah.
I know there's probably a lot of businesses that probably set their insurance and don't even look at it again. So how often should you be reviewing your insurance policy?
It's certainly, a timely thing. Everybody's insurance comes up once a year, even from a personal line standpoint to a commercial line standpoint. So you should always test the water and see what's out there. There's a lot of new carriers popping up into our marketplace. It'd be hot, but it's good to get a number or keep everybody honest.
Right. That's a good point. So just taking that time every year to look around at what's available and look what your policy covers. So talk to me a little bit about what kinds of services you're seeing, or what kinds of services you're providing. What are people needing right now? Maybe even what's a little bit different than in the past.
Yeah, it's funny. After yesterday's, hurricane stuff, right now I'm in claims mode. I have a couple people that have had some claims due to the hurricane that kind of went up the East Coast rather quickly. I'm in the process of a client in Ocean City that has a roof in their condo unit that kind of blew off that I'm in the process of helping out with.
Yeah.
From a coverage standpoint, you definitely want to look at a personal umbrella or a business umbrella to give you that extra layer of liability protection. It's a very litigious society that we're in.
Yeah.
Having, somebody defend you and help you out is, pretty critical. So that's what you're getting when you buy, extra coverage in those areas. So
looking into an umbrella policy for your business, what else should we be looking at? Is there anything, have you seen any changes due to coronavirus? Is there more insurance that's needed? You talked a little bit about what might be less because you might have fewer employees. but is there any impact from that, or even the social unrest? Are there different cities that perhaps have changing policies due to that?
I think one of the toughest part of my job was telling my clients that there was no coverage for coronavirus.
Yeah.
Because it is a pandemic, because it is related to a virus and an illness. There wasn't a lot of coverage, and it broke my heart telling some of these business owners that we didn't have business income and extra expense that would cover these losses and the downtime and the closures of their facilities. That was probably one of the toughest things that during this pandemic that's been affecting me, is telling my clients no.
Right.
Yes, a lot with my clients, and providing and saying, hey, we could do this or we could do that, and making them whole on the bottom line when something bad does happen. So unfortunately, there isn't a lot of coverage out there for this yet, but I think it's definitely going to be something you can buy in the future. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, that's really interesting to see how this can change the landscape going forward. We had a doctor on who was talking about the kinds of technologies that might be available sooner because of what we're experiencing right now. And so perhaps that'll be the case as well in insurance, a new look at how we do that. Are there particular industries that you specialize in, or that, I know I have a dog, working from home is amazing, and he lets me know whenever anybody shows up.
Right.
But are there particular industries that you specialize in, and how do you really get to know like the different industries that you work with?
I've spent a lot of time. My book of business is really focused on relationships. So in the old days, I did a lot of cold calling and stuff like that. But now, being in the business for over 25 years, you develop relationships, you develop centers of influence that kind of help you, guide you to the right people. From an insurance standpoint, I like to try to simplify insurance for my customers and be that outsourced person. So, my relationships, what leads me into a lot of these accounts, and then I become an expert by listening to them talk about their business. I do the research about their business and the correct insurance that is needed. And then, I look at what they have, and sometimes, it's not right. And I invest a lot of time, with my business owners, learning as much about their business to make sure that the insurance that they have, or they've been buying for years, is actually, fits their business. And a lot of times it doesn't. And I've fixed those problems. I'm working with a client right now in Frederick, and, they've been with their agent for a long time. And I came in and it's a pretty important type of business, and they don't have pollution coverage. And, they're, with what they're doing and the exposures that they have, pollution is a big concern to their neighbors. And if somebody gets sick in the neighborhood, or the water gets contaminated or something like that, it's a huge exposure that would probably put them out of business. But for $15,000 a year, $1,000 a month, plus, they could solve that problem and have somebody defend them and fight the claims and, represent them in the court of law. So it's well worth that, premium basis.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad you shared that. So is there any, my biggest question in all of this is, what do you feel like businesses need to know right now? And what I'm hearing from you is, all the parts of your business that are important, you need to be spending time looking at them, looking for experts who can answer your questions, looking for advisors, forming relationships with people who are willing to dig in to the problems with you. What would you add to that?
We're trusted advisors. You're not just buying a commodity. You're buying claims rep. You're buying a risk manager. You're buying, a solid company to stand with you or next to you when you're battling. The claims are, through the roof, or you got somebody that's going to defend you. And that's what I am. I'm a trusted advisor. You got to let me in. You got to answer all my silly questions, because it'll pay off down the road, basically.
Awesome. I love that. Happy to answer your silly questions.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. You're going to hate me because I want to ask you a lot of them, but at the end of the day, it's going to be well worth it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.